What's going on, America? How you doing out there? I'm your host, Mark. I'm with my boy Shawn Redacted, and of course, you know it's right after a fight weekend, so we got our guy, our correspondent, Tyrone. So how you doing, fellas?
Doing good, doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy to see you guys. Mr. Redacted is looking very intelligent today. So,
Well, I'm trying to understand who Mr. Redacted is. I don't know who that person is. You know what I'm saying? You keep introducing this person, and I'm looking for this third person or this fourth person on the podcast, and I don't see them. So
hey,
are
man.
you speaking to me? Are you speaking to me? I'm trying to
Yes,
understand what you're talking about.
of course, sir. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you.
Because my
Yeah,
name is Shawn. You can either
yeah.
call me Shawn or you can call me by my full name.
And
Yeah,
look, no,
at
I
this
will never
point, at
call
this
you by
point,
your full name
at this
because
point, I don't even know if you know what my full name is.
listen, listen, brother redacted. I'm just trying to have. I'm just
I don't
trying to
know
have a
who
good.
that is. I don't know who that is, man.
Listen, man. I paid you a compliment. I said you looking smart today. Let's just move
Dog,
on amicably. You
Doug, you
know what I'm saying?
paid this Mr. Redacted dude a compliment. I don't know who the fuck that is. But go ahead. Let's continue. Let's continue.
All right. Anyway, so listen, like I said, it's after a fight weekend, so you know what it is. UFC 259. Um, three three championship cards in this fight. So it was a big fight weekend, and as such, it being a big fight weekend, we decided that we were going to give you guys a little bit of our commentary to go along while you watching the UFC fights. If you joined us and was in on a conversation with us in the YouTube, that's great. Thank you for joining us. And if you wasn't, sorry you missed us. Hope you're there next time. Um, and if you don't know when the next time will be, join. Then that means you're not a part of our Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and none of that shit. And if that's the case, you need to get on it. So there you go. It's just called the Eye Test Network. Join up, and then you will see the next time we're going to have a major event commentary where we'll laugh, we'll joke, we'll talk shit, and we'll have fun having conversations with the people in the chat. So with that being said, the promo's now done. Let's get into it, man. UFC 259. Three championship fights. Supposed to be a massive deal, and I expected everything to be glorious, and somehow I walked away a little bit disappointed. Uh, so not disappointed with the results, but disappointed with the way that certain things played out. So let's get into it, man. Let's just have these conversations. With that being said, we're gonna start with you, Tyrone.
What's
How
going
did
on?
you how'd you feel? You know the way that we play this. We talk about the card overall to start. How did you
Yeah.
feel about the card overall to start?
Compared to the one before it, which seemed like a sacrificial lamb,
Yeah.
um, for this one, I really enjoyed the card. I enjoyed some of the fights. I enjoyed everything except for the Amanda Nunes fight. That was a bathroom break for me. But yeah, everything about it, it was good. There was a lot of fights. I think they had 15 cards. So from like 5 o'clock all the way up to like 9 or 10, I was just in heaven. So I enjoyed it.
Okay. Good, good, good stuff. Tyrone. I mean, excuse me, Sean. Apologize.
Yeah, man, the card was good, man. Unfortunately, I mean, I missed the undercard fights, but man, I heard they were dope. I heard they were all dope, man. So I'm kind of disappointed that I couldn't catch those. But obviously, main event wise, I enjoyed all of the fights. I think it was a really solid card, and I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say, man. I enjoyed it. You say a few things went differently than you thought it would. I feel you on that, but I mean, I didn't care. I was just happy that I saw a good card. So
Well, listen, nothing necessarily went different than I thought it would, except for one fight. But the issue for me really was the fact that um like the way that certain fights played out. Like for instance, the Santos fight in the beginning, that was very disappointing and slow. Like I watched 3 rounds of these dudes trying to feel each other out, and this is the number 2 and number 4 guy in light heavyweight division, and yet, like, so we're talking about two ranked fighters that pretty much danced around each other the whole fight. That was very disappointing for me. Um, and then you have, and then after that, you know what I'm saying? I felt as though the championship fight, I felt as though the action wasn't pressed enough neither. So that was my issue, and we'll get into the championship fight. But since we're here, I'm going to just talk about Thiago Santos and that fight right there. That fight, like I said, it's the number 2 and number 4 ranked fighter in um in the division, and yet somehow these dudes weren't pressed for action. Like if they were auditioning for who should be fighting the championship next, but then I'm just going to say flat out, where's number 3 and number 5? Because number 2 and number 4 ain't getting the shot. Like, because I don't want to see that in the ring again. That was terrible. Like, these dudes just was like for 3. Like, if you're going to do that for first round, obviously everybody accepts it, because for the first round you're out there to feel out what the person is going to do and like get your timing down and all that. But past the first round, I don't want to see that shit no more. It's time to start fighting. It's time to start banging. This is the UFC. This is not boxing. You don't have 12 rounds, so you don't have 3 rounds to figure out what you're going to do here. No, you need to figure it out in the first round and start fighting. That's my personal opinion. But with that being said, Tyrone, how did you feel about that first fight?
It was a slow paced fight, man. It really was, but I understand the reasons why it may have been slow paced. You got your number 2 guy, Thiago Santos, just coming off of dual knee surgery. He blew out everything in his knees in the Jon Jones fight. So I don't feel that he was confident with what he was normally doing in his fights. And you got Alexander Rakitic, and he is looking to move up the ranks. So, I mean, he's winning. He's scoring points. His corner's telling him, you're doing good. Keep doing what you're doing. There's no reason to go out there and be reckless. You're going to win this fight regardless. So it wasn't on him to press. Thiago Santos being a former title contender, if you're winning, I'm looking on you. You're the bigger name. I'm looking on you to press. But just another testament to the type of damage that can be done to a person when he gets out of a grueling fight. After that Jon Jones fight, he blew out both his knees. And he had to go out and he had to get everything. I mean, if he got a CL attached to it, ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus, they had to do a full type of, for both knees, reconstructive surgery. And I don't feel he has enough confidence in that surgery.
In the recovery.
To go out and be his normal self. I think it played in the back of his mind. And if you ever suffered a big injury, like, it will, I mean, you kind of think about it, like, this is a sport, this is something I do, but, I want to walk again. I want to run again. I want to do the things in life that I've been doing, and it can become scary. And Rakic knowing that, any opponent knowing that, you don't know their game plan, they can aim for the knees and try to blow those out. There's no rule saying, hey, he had surgery, so don't do that. Don't be a dick. Like, no, he could easily go in there and kick his knees out. So I feel that is what played a huge part. Thiago Santos is usually a firecracker. He's usually a barrel of dynamite,
and that's what I was saying.
That was disappointing.
Yeah, I was saying, and that's what I was saying in our live. I was like, this is something that I didn't expect from Santos, and in the live, I said I did make a comment about, like, well, the knee surgeries, whatever, but I didn't expect him to be so timid. And I feel as though if that's what's going on in your head, then you're not ready to be back out there.
Yes.
Like, if that's the case and that's what's going on in your head, then clearly you're not ready to be back out there. I don't know what it would take for you to be ready to be back out there, but clearly
there's a lot of things we don't know, man. There's a lot of things we don't know. We don't know if maybe he tweaked his knee in camp and he didn't want to say nothing. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he looked different than even when he fought Glover Teixeira. You know what I mean? Like he looked a little even more reserved in
Mm-hmm.
this fight. So
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't know if that recovery
It's
is good or not. But he doesn't want to be. You know, he doesn't want. This is how he make. This is how he pays his bills. You don't fight, you don't pay bills. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
sometimes fighters shut up about injuries. You know. So
Okay, so this is, and it's funny that you mentioned that because that's exactly what I wanted to get into with this fight. Because number one, this is the most reserved I've ever seen him. I've never seen him do this before, not for 3 rounds straight. Um, this is the first time I've seen any type of match like this where they literally just went 3 rounds straight of filling each other out, and it's like both of them, both were trying to concede to the other person to be the aggressor, and nobody took it. And it's just like, well, I'm outscoring you, so I'm gonna win the match. So like to your point though, the pressure should have been on Tiago to be to start getting aggressive. And what, he waited till partway through the third round to try to do that. It's already too late now. You already know you lost the round, like, or you lost the fight. And to me, I guess my point is, it looked like he felt content with losing in in that manner of fashion because of other reasons, right? And when you talk about this is how we this is what he does to, for a living. This is how he feeds his family, all these things. So I decided to look up the purses for the fighters for this weekend,
hmm,
um and out of the main event fights, I want to say I'm looking at it, and he basically had the lowest amount. He had 100. He got paid 100,000. Where it said 80,000 a show and 20,000 during the fight week. So
yeah.
either way, and granted, I know we've talked about the salaries before, Mark, about how sometimes we feel like they're not making enough. Um, this is a situation to where if he doesn't take this money, this is going to pay for his family for the year,
Right.
basically, right? And if he doesn't take this fight, or something happens to him in training, or, you know what I mean? You don't know when you get another opportunity. If he passes this up, because this is a 2 versus 4, he passes this up. Now he has to fight somebody else that's not as high a ranking, and then now he's getting paid less for a fight because he had to miss this one. And basically, what it comes down to for me, Mark, is we're going to see this happen more often because of the fact that some of these fighters just aren't getting paid well. And it has nothing. It has nothing to do with their skill sets. It has nothing to do with their rankings. It has everything to do with the draw, and the flair, and all that stuff. Israel Adesanya got paid 600,000 to show. 600,000. So you can see, you can see the disparity there, and basically, look, Amanda Nunez, 350,000. She got paid more than every other guy on the card except for Adesanya and Blachowicz. Blachowicz. So that's it. So it's plain and simple. If you a draw, you're gonna get paid, and these guys are like, look, man, I'm coming in here. I might be a little gimped up. I'm coming off an injury. I could win this fight, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I came in here already thinking, look, as long as I can show up, finish this fight, I'll be good. I want to, if I lose, I'm still good. I get my money and I can fight another fight.
Hmm.
So I understand the thought process going into these situations of these fighters, and that's just a whole. This is just a microcosm of a bigger issue with either the amount of money that the UFC isn't making right now, or the way that they choose to divvy up the money. So, but yes, all in all, disappointed in the fight. I didn't like it. Um, I didn't like the reservedness of both fighters. But I mean, understanding the totality of the situation, I don't know if we could expect anything different if he really was nursing an injury.
And not to cut you off, but also when you bring up those salaries, you got to see that UFC is a world organization. So you got guys like he lives in Brazil. That dollar amount is going to transfer different. You know, that
Yeah,
80,000 might stretch. You know, so he might, like you said, he might be good. Like 80,000 in the US to us, that's a year's salary for a good paying job, middle class. But in Brazil, that might put him over the top. He might be good for the whole year.
yeah. That's what. But that's the way I looked at it. Is he
Yeah.
might be good for the year, but even then, in places like that, they're not just feeding their immediate family.
Yeah.
They're talking extended families and things of that nature. And of course, he's not just looking to say 100,000 is good enough for me for the year. No, he's looking to get a little bit more than that. And if he just, like you said, if he doesn't take this fight and then he looks at a smaller purse for a later fight this year, or he takes this fight and he gets hurt and then he can't get another fight, then those are two things that's a major decision to make while you're in the ring. You know what I mean? Like you can't, at some point you can't blame him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Fair enough. Um, fair conversation on all sides.
yeah,
Now moving on from that, we're going to go into the second fight of the evening, which was Makovic versus Dope versus Dauber. Um, and in this fight, this was just a rout. This is just 3 rounds of you getting your ass whooped. I don't even know why they let you in here, Dauber. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, I believe, at least that's how it felt when I was watching it. But I believe they ended up saying that Dauber took it on like a week short notice or whatever like that, and and clearly, Makovic is being groomed for the next level. So like this was an exhibition match more or less, and that's exactly pretty much how it played out. Like, hey, go get in the ring with this dude, and he's just gonna use you to show off his skills and what he's able to do.
yeah.
And that's pretty much how it played out. At least that's how I saw it. So I don't really have much else to say about it besides that. How about you guys?
Go ahead, Tyrone.
All
Go
right.
ahead, man.
So Islam Makovic and Drew Dober. All right. Some of the people watching may have noticed that Khabib was in Islam's corner. Like Mark said, he is being groomed. He's being groomed by Khabib. Khabib is out of the game, and this is going to be his replacement, most likely. They're both from Dagestan. They both train the same way, and they trained under his father. And then now Khabib is training him. So if you watch the fight, which if you paid attention to it, if it wasn't too boring to you, he had Khabib's style.
Yes, he did.
Absolutely, 110%.
He's the replacement Khabib. So it was boring because that's the way it would have been if this guy fought Khabib. When we go back and talk about how we looked at a lot of Khabib fights, we were always bored because it was just one way domination, and that's the way this guy is going to be. Also, to bring up with that impressive win over Drew Dober, that domination, and everyone's kind of saying, that kind of reminded me of Khabib. Plus, Khabib was in his corner. We got some controversy with him and Tony Ferguson. Because as we all know, Tony Ferguson is a rival of Khabib. Khabib's no longer in the game. Islam's stepping up, saying, I'll take on Tony Ferguson. So that was kind of interesting to me that maybe Tony Ferguson would never get Khabib, but he might be. That's a fight I always wanted to see, but, things happened, transpired. But, I mean, taking on this doppelganger, I just kind of wanted to see his skills against a guy like that. And it looks like Islam is going to be the next Khabib.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be excited for that because this is one thing that this could be the silencer.
Yeah.
If you can't beat Islam, then why are we even having this conversation?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But if he does beat him, then that opens up that conversation. Even if Khabib never comes back, which I don't expect him to.
Right.
It's something positive for Tony Ferguson, which I would like to see, considering the way things have played out over the last couple of years. But yes, for this fight, it definitely was. It was one sided. That's fine, but you know what, man? Like you called it boring. Some people find it boring. That's great. This is exactly the type of fighting style that I like to see, which is basically all encompassing. Somebody with a complete fighting game is what I like to watch because it's like, okay, like I said, I was a fan of guys like GSP because of that. Like, it's just like, well, how you going to beat them? You can't stand up with them. You can't go to the ground. You can get them to the ground, and you you can have a half guard. You can have, you know what I'm saying? It's like you might not even be safe. They can submit you from that point. You just never know with guys like that. So me personally, I enjoy the technical aspect of mixed martial arts, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu. So like for me, this is the type of stuff like the jujitsu and wrestling is my favorite part. So for me, I love this. So with that said, though, to me, he just like Mark said. I mean, it looked like the opponent. It looked like Donor Dober was not prepared, or not. I'm not going to say not prepared. He wasn't supposed to be in this fight. That's what it looked like. And it showed. But he still put up a fight, so I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
it has me interested and looking forward to the next fight from Islam.
Fair enough. All right. Now, now we're going to move on into what should have been, and honestly, what was the fight of the evening, excuse me, which was Peter Yan versus Sterling. In this fight, um, we had a controversial ending. The a controversial ending that had Aljamain Sterling laying on the ground due to an illegal knee while 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 on his knees. So in when that happened, um, clearly everybody. I'm going to start off by saying this. Everybody wants to blame Peter Yan for this. Um, you got to stop right there. You have to go back and watch, and if I can find the video clip that they showed that evening, I will put it in the YouTube for this episode. But in that clip, you can hear him, Peter Yan, saying that like it's something in Russian, and it was cleared up by Tyrone's favorite gentleman, DC, that he was asking, "Is it okay? Is it okay?" And in asking, "Is it okay?" one of his trainers said, "Yes, kick him. Yes, like go ahead." And but he said it in Russian, so you clearly don't hear what he says. But what you do know is that when he did deliver the knee, every other trainer was saying, "Oh no," and the one trainer was like, "Yeah." So we know which trainer did it. And so we know which trainer told him to do it. And in that case, so Peter Yan was just following the instructions of his trainers, and he thought he was good to go. The ref told him not to do it, but clearly, if his English is probably not that good, if he's only communicating in Russian with his trainers and stuff, then his English is probably not that good, and he probably didn't catch what the ref was saying, which is why he was trying to get confirmation from his corner when at that time. So in that, I'm just going to say his that guy needs to be fired. He needs to be fired and sued. I don't know what you got to do, but he like you got to do something. I need retribution from that guy. Like you just lost me the belt, my man, because you're going to tell me to deliver an illegal knee, and then and then and but outside of that, for me, man, the fight was awesome. That was an amazing fight. Like Aljamain Sterling, he definitely got my attention. He's a class act through and through. Like he didn't know that Peter Yan was instructed to do so at the time, so he was a little pissed off about the legal need. But I'm sure after he finds all information, he will not hold Peter accountable for that. But he didn't want that belt. Like he was like, no. Like as soon as they put the belt around him, he threw it on the ground. He wanted nothing to do with it because he knew that wasn't a legitimate win. And it wasn't a legitimate win because he was losing that fight. Like he said he knew that he was down. In the post fight, he knew that he was down, and he and he knew that he was gassed. What made me like him is that he went out. He was willing to go out on his shield. That dude was like he had nothing in the tank and was still throwing. he was throwing
He was
everything
still being on. He was still being on the attack. Like,
exactly like he
yeah,
was on the offensive, still throwing with nothing left in the tank. And like I was like, okay, like that like opened my eyes and lit me up about him. I was like, he's good, but obviously he definitely lost that fight. Peter Yan, when they do have that remake rematch, I still see like the way Peter dominated him in this fight. Like I see that happening again. Um, Even though like Aljamain did put up a great fight, just sometimes you lose, sometimes somebody's better than you, or they have a better game plan, and that's exactly what happened here. Like Peter was just better than you, and he was going to prove it until somebody told him to do something that he shouldn't have did. Um, Tyrone.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that fight. I'm, I feel like Aljamain Sterling, as you said, you feel that Peter Yan's going, he may beat him later on. I feel like he has the upper hand in this incident. One, he went in, tested the waters. He failed. He was getting beat. And I
Right.
think that may have been because of he's not been in a lot of 5 round fights. He came out fast, strong,
I
a
Yes.
mentioned
high
that.
paced tempo, and a little bit of adrenaline dump. You're about to make your dream come true. You know what I mean? How can you control your emotions about that? Your adrenaline is going to increase. But he fell short, so to say. But he still walked away with the belt. So not only did you get your dream, now you're going to have to you get a redo, and you get to do it right this time. You get to prove yourself this time. And with this redo, you've already went in, you fought, 4 rounds, so you know what to expect, so you know what to prepare, you know who to bring in. If you need to get a better wrestling coach, you're going to bring him in. You got to get a better striking coach, you're going to bring him in. You're going to bring in somebody who can do strength and conditioning because you got gas early. You're going to bring them in. So now you can be prepared for the next time. So it's possible with this disqualification that Aljamain Sterling may pose a bigger threat now that he's already faced Peter Yan, because it's not too many people who can get beat and dominated by a champion and come back and get to do it again. It takes years. So
Yeah.
he's also receiving a lot of hate. There's videos out there of him going home, opening the belt up, having a couple of drinks with his friends and family and stuff like that, saying he faked it. Look, the way I look at it is like this: there's rules and regulations in place for a reason. That's just like saying, hey man, there's rules and regulations. If you break the rules and you hold me accountable for breaking the rules, then you soft. You should just let me get away with it. You know, um, whether he wanted it or not, if he could not continue, the
Yeah.
rules are in place saying it's a disqualification. You get the belt, whether he wanted
Exactly.
it. It's not his choice. He didn't
At all.
choose to say, okay, yeah, give me the belt. They didn't come to him and say, hey, man, you can keep fighting or we can just take the belt from him. He was like, hey, I want to continue, but I can't. Okay, well, the rule says this. So they abided by the rules. I don't feel like he should be getting hate from it. I feel like he shouldn't throw illegal knees. And even if
Exactly.
his corner did tell him it's safe, that area is just such a gray area, bro. Like, why would you want to do that anyway? It's so many other things you could have did to him to dominate him. Being as tired as he was, why would you want to throw the knee when he's ducked down like that? You know what I mean? So if it was me, I wouldn't have threw a knee just because I don't know. I can't see everything. I can't see every
Yeah.
ankle, and you're like below my waist. So I'm just gonna assume you're on your knees.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I feel about it.
Okay.
So yeah. To, oh, go
Hold
ahead.
up.
You got something.
I just want to comment. I didn't know about the hate or whatever.
A lot
Just,
of hate, a lot of hate.
yeah, just to address that, you guys are fucking ridiculous. Like, like, like he was clearly hit with an illegal knee. Like
That shit was
that's
right in
not
the
fake.
temple.
That's
they
not
think
Like,
fake.
they feel he should they feel he should have said I'm okay and continued to fight. But this is the way I feel about it.
That,
If he had continued to fight and lost, everybody would have said, well, shit, he should have stayed down.
yeah,
you know
like
and then
that
when he gets
knee.
up, I mean, when he stays down, it was like, well, shit, he should have got up. Damned if you, damned if you don't. But if you're going to be damned with the belt.
No,
That's
no,
the way I feel
but
about it.
no, but
yeah,
here's the
bro.
thing though. Like, no, you shouldn't be damned. I think that the audience and people should just have sense enough to like not say silly shit just because they behind the keyboard or they can. Like
But
certain things. certain things is just unnecessary.
But
Yeah,
you know what, Mark? I feel like that's just a bigger problem with mainstream sports media. They're the ones that push these narratives. Oh, well, this person had a broken ankle and they continued to play, or this person had this and they continued and they fought through it. Yeah, they lost, but they still fought through. You know what I'm saying? And because they champion these people and then they speak negatively, like we know how, like, just to speak on whether things are fair or not. Like you said, Tyrone, it's just illegal and it is what it is. You hold them accountable. Um, I'm just gonna reference Deflategate real quick because guess what? The mainstream sports media did during the Deflategate. They said, it doesn't matter if the Patriots cheated or not because they was gonna beat the Colts anyway. They said the Colts in the second half got beat worse with the inflated balls than they did with the D. You see what I'm saying? So you're all like, because the mainstream sports media always they they do this with their narratives of, you know even if you're getting cheated, you should just push through and prevail and shut the hell up and take it. Because they push that so much, now you got the people that echo the sentiments of mainstream sports media, and this is what you have here. Now you have
yeah.
people telling this guy who got clearly kneed in the temple illegally while he was kneeling down and was completely gassed. We thought he was done. We were mad that Jan didn't finish him before the fourth round because he had opportunities to finish him. And this is the same guy that y'all wanted to get up after that knee to the temple and try to fight. Look, man, we need to stop. We need to stop with these ridiculous demands on these fighters, man. Because guess what? People thought it would. People thought it was ridiculous when what's his name, the boxer, Deontay Wilder, when he wanted to keep fighting against Fury, everybody thought it was ridiculous, and they was like, yo, they absolutely had to stop this fight. So which one is it? Is it ridiculous for him to keep fighting, or is it not? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you keep fighting, then they're gonna call you an idiot. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And if you don't, then they're gonna call you soft. So,
right.
like you said, damn if you do, Mark. I feel you, man. These people either need to watch sports responsibly or just shut the hell up. But
I said
but
I get online
but
like, so after the fight, I get online, I see everybody attacking him. So of course I jump to the defense. I say, hey man, let's be responsible. Like, if you say he's faking it, he's milking it, let's do a science experiment. We can't say something is what it is unless we experiment it. So hey, anybody out there who think he was faking it, go take a knee to the face, you know, as research, scientific research, and then tell us your findings. Tell us how you feel. Tell us, could you go to work? Tell us, could you drive? And then if we get enough people saying, hey, I could take a knee to the face and I was perfectly fine, then I might agree with you. But we get more people saying, hey, I took a knee to the face and then I had to go to the hospital, then I say this man's even tougher because he didn't go to the hospital. And, you know, we look at MMA as a sport, but we got to realize that doctors get involved with these rules. They get doctors' opinions in these rules about what should be legal and what shouldn't be legal. And the doctors are signing off like, hey, I wouldn't do a 12-6 elbow because it may cause permanent damage. I wouldn't knee somebody in the face that's bending down because it could kill or cause permanent damage. The sport is about fighting and it's trying to be kept as safe as possible. And when they make up these rules, it is not made up in vain. They had research done. They had
yeah,
professional doctors in there that would watch these techniques being done, and then they would give their opinion about if it should be legal or not. So it's illegal.
yeah. So, some of these people are the same ones who didn't watch UFC 15 years ago
Right.
because it was too brutal. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I don't want to hear nothing from them people. But let me get back to this fight, man. But I will say this, like what Mark said, man. Aljamain Sterling, he really showed out. I was impressed by what he did. By what he did. Um, he, me and Mark talked about it that night. We said he didn't lose because he did anything wrong. Which I'm not going to say he lost. He obviously won by disqualification, but he wasn't losing the fight because he was doing anything wrong. He was just getting outclassed by a better fighter because he literally did everything right. I was like, he's doing everything. He's approaching it the way that he should. He's doing all these things, and Jan just had an answer for everything. That's just what it was. Through his experience, he just had an answer for everything because he was taking hits. He was getting, he was getting taken down. It was all these things were happening, and he just had a response. You know what I'm saying? A very good response for all of these things. So, definitely, it was sad to see the fight end the way that it did. And Mark, to your point, I'm gonna disagree with you on you feeling that Jan shouldn't have any responsibility with this, because he should. And this is all I'm gonna say is this: his first UFC fight was June of 2018, and I'm gonna give shared responsibility because I still can't put this all on him. His staff, whoever's working with him and helped him move to the UFC, they should have it with. They've had 2 years to explain to him the rules. They've had 2 years, so I'm not going to put it all on him, because his staff should be working with him in that way to understand. It's the same thing. Like, I don't take people's word when they're just like, oh man, I didn't know what I put in my body. I just go to my trainer and he gives me a supplement and I take it. Like, no, man. Like, I don't believe that shit. Like, you have to be held responsible partially for that. If you're dumb enough to just go with what the trainer's giving you and not question anything, then that's on you. So, like, yes, a part of the blame has to go to him. But Mark, I say, even I tack it on a little extra blame to his corner for not. This dude's been around for 2 years in the UFC. How does he not know that this is a rule?
Well,
why should he even have to ask?
Well, no, it's not that he didn't know it wasn't a rule. It's just that it's a gray area of whether or not he was on his knees, like where he was, like, and whether or not it was, like, it's not, he didn't question whether or not it was a rule. He questioned whether or not
it was safe.
It was safe.
Yeah.
And he was asking, is it safe?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm the fighter in the ring. I can look down and see that he's on his knees. I don't need to ask my corner for that. If that's what you're saying, I don't need to ask my corner for that. That still leaves a little bit of responsibility on him, Mark.
Well, but here's the thing, like, even in that situation, it's not even necessarily him that said, like the ref tells him, like, no, like right now, no, don't do that.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? He has to take some responsibility.
And the ref said he said something, and like I said, that may be due to the language barrier.
Yeah, but when does the ref ever speak? They don't never speak.
I know,
like if you got your hand, they only speak when you're doing something wrong. So he's
not telling you thumbs up. I tell you that. You know he's not. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely not telling you thumbs up. If the ref is talking to you,
the ref never comes in and says, "Hey, good job." They never say that. They only speak when you're about to mess up.
You know what I'm saying?
The fact that the referee spoke should have been good enough.
Yeah, but I understand. I understand if he doesn't understand fully what the referee's saying. You know, and I understand if he's going to his corner for a translation. But what I'm trying to say is, regardless of the situation, you can't knee somebody in the face when they're on the knees. And that's a rule that he should have known. That's all I'm saying is, that's why I said the responsibility has to still be on his camp for that, for not letting him know. But, I mean, if he's been in the UFC for 2 years, I don't feel like it's short enough. It's a short enough period for him to claim ignorance.
Yeah, I like I said, it's not about him claiming ignorance, because he knows.
No, it's not. No, he's not. He's not. But I'm saying, for people that want to say this is all on his camp, this is all on his corner, it's not.
Well, listen,
I can pull up UFC bylaws right now in Japanese and run it through a Google Translate, and I can see the entire thing. You know what I'm saying?
It's not about him not knowing the rule. It's about whether or not the rule, whether or not it's basically here's a way that you can understand it.
Okay,
every wide receiver knows that they're supposed to be on a certain position, and when they line up for the play. But when you check, they check with the line judge, like, am I good? And they tell you good. Essentially, what happened here was the line judge here told him he was good, And
No, he didn't ask
no,
the ref. He asked his corner.
no, like
I'm
I'm
not
saying,
going to line up as a wide receiver and look at my coach and ask him if I'm good. Like
like,
you,
like,
look, man.
but
The way you slicing it is still
no, but that's what
partially
I'm
his
saying.
fault.
But you're right. You're right. So essentially,
Yeah.
he lined up, and essentially he lined up and looked and like sure, and asked his coach like, "Yo, am I good right now?" And they said, "Yeah." And then he got a flag for it. Like, Doug, I checked with you. You said I was good. You standing there looking at the line
But
like I can't see it.
now but that's also exactly why I said it has to be blame on both. He gets this is what I'll chalk it up, man. I'll say 20% of the blame is on him. The other 80% is on his people, dog. Because how is it that you have a corner and all three people in your corner ain't even on the same page, man? Like,
That's
that's
weird.
sloppy, bro.
That part is wild. That part
That's
is
sloppy to me, man. Like I'm just saying, like.
Remember in the live feed, the dude was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yo, where does he fight at? Like, where is that legal?" Like,
that's what I'm saying.
His coach was the only guy. Like, "Yeah, murder him, fatality." Like, yo, where you coming? Where'd you get this guy?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying, man. It's just like, you know what? It's probably not even his job to say anything. Like, he's probably the dude that's just supposed to be there to help him work on his wrestling. Like, you're not supposed to say nothing here. You're supposed to help him work on his wrestling. And then he asked a question about what's legal and illegal, and he spoke up, and people, they probably looked at him like, "Why are you saying something? Oh, wait a minute, no!" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you wasn't even supposed to talk, dog. Like, what you? I'm almost willing. I'm almost willing to bet 100% that man wasn't supposed to say nothing. He's out there yelling. He was too involved in the fight.
He was supposed
hyped.
to keep the ice packs cold. That was it. Yeah, why are you talking?
You know how sometimes you just get too into it. You get too hyped. You know what I'm saying? Got you. You know, you're the water boy, but you think you're the coach now. Man, you should run a sweep. Like, hold on, brother. Oh, my bad, coach. My bad, coach. Go sit
Everybody's
down.
Like, why are you talking?
Yeah, like that's probably him. It's probably that guy. He's the guy that wasn't supposed to say nothing, and then he did. And then
he was the guy
that's
supposed to pick up everything after they leave the octagon.
That's it, man. You supposed to clean. You supposed to clean up the little spit bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it.
See, the real problem was that you couldn't see him under that face mask, but that was John Kreese under that face mask.
Stop it.
that was Kreese under that face mask. He straight up told him to sweep the leg. So like that was over.
Hey, I know we joking, but if I was Peter Yan, I would definitely come out to the public and say, "Yo, he was the water boy. Like, he was not supposed to be speaking." Like, I would definitely come out.
You have to clear that up, man.
Yeah.
Dog, because we got to scrap. Now, I just finished the title bout, but now I got to scrap with my corner in the parking lot after the fight. Now, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta settle this, dog. Like, what you doing out here, man? Like, I was on a hot streak, dog. I cleaned this man up for 4 rounds, and now look at me.
Yeah, and 10 win streak down the drain.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be upset about that, man.
Yeah, for sure.
People, you know.
But moving on from that topic, going straight into the next fight, which this shouldn't take long. Amanda Nunes versus Megan. It doesn't really matter what your last name is because
Anderson,
nobody will remember you.
Just so you know, nobody will remember her because today the UFC cut her from the roster.
See? No one will remember your name. Like,
you can't do that. First off, let me address that. You can't. Come on, man. Y'all gonna cut her after she lost to Amanda Nunes like that? Like, anybody would have lost like that. I mean, granted, I know that's not the reason why, but man, that's some insult to injury shit. But go ahead.
Yeah.
But,
as of 3 hours ago, she was cut.
That's wild. But yeah, dog, that's essentially like, look, like Achilles said, and that's why you will never be great. That's why no one will ever know your name, man. Right there. She got hit with an overhand right, and then her eyes opened wide, and it was over from there. Like, that's all I can say about the fight. The fight was over from the first punch that Amanda Nunes landed. And
yo, she looked like a deer, like, you know, on the National Geographic. Like, what was going on with that leg? Like, she locked.
It was just limbs flailing, dog. Limbs flailing. Like, to be honest with you, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. Amanda Nunes' fists look bigger than mine. And then like her overhand rights just looks so devastating, man. And it's like every time somebody gets hit with one of them, you see them like staggering backwards, all crazy. I'm just like, dog, that shit look like it hurts every time. I'm just like, what are you gonna do? Them. I mean, those fighters that fight her are not used to getting punched that hard in the face. That's just what
Yeah,
it looks like every fight. Every fight, it just looks like, man, I've been sparring for 3 months. I ain't got hit like that before. You know
and
what I'm
it's
saying?
crazy.
It's very reminiscent to me of Mike Tyson, man. Like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and once they take that first punch from her, it's like all this shit just go. All your training goes out the window. Now you're just sitting there trying to defend yourself. So yeah,
The
it
crazy
was
part is about Megan Anderson. She went, I believe, 5 rounds with Cyborg. She didn't even last like 45 seconds with Nunes. So
Cyborg only went 50 seconds with Amanda Nunez. So I don't know what she was
right.
expecting.
So I don't know what is in Nunez's hands, bro. We need to check her gloves after the fight. Like, it's crazy. Like, we need to cut them
Don't
open
do
to see.
that.
We need to
Listen,
cut
Hey,
them open to see.
who was the one who got caught with that shit in boxing? Was that Miguel?
no, Miguel was the one on the receiving end of that.
Oh, so who was it? I can't remember who was that. Was it
It
Marquez
doesn't matter. I
Cotto?
don't like bringing up his name because
Okay, my
that's
bad.
the-
Excuse me, man. Look, man, we gotta check. We gotta check to see what kind of wrap she got underneath her gloves at this point. You know.
listen. Amanda's just a dominant fighter, dog. That's all that's to it.
It is.
That's all that's to it. Amanda is just dominant, and I respect dominance. Um, Amanda said, like, honestly, I like in looking at her up, I just realized that Amanda said that she'll fight her wife before she retires. So, uh,
Wow.
yeah, like that's just an interesting tidbit I didn't know. Like, because her wife also fights, and she said she's gonna. She said she would like to fight her wife before she retires. Like, that's
Is
some like
everybody okay with this?
I know that's some
Hold
some
on.
wild stuff.
First off, does your wife know that you want to fight her? Like, did your
Well,
wife agree to this?
maybe that's her way of saying that I ain't gonna never retire. I don't know. Let's look at it that way.
Maybe, but
Maybe.
I'm just saying, like, before we get there, does your wife want to fight you? Because I don't think she does. But
Right.
that's a, you know what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I will say that, like you said, she's a dominant fighter. You respect dominance, and I agree, man. I respect dominance a lot. And to be honest with you, you can't be this skilled and have this powerful of a go-to move. You know what I'm saying? You can't. Like, if you're gonna be this skilled and you're gonna be able to knock people out immediately, then it's gonna be a problem, because I feel like even if somebody were to force her into like a 3 round, into like the third round, she would still dominate the fight. Like, I feel like it doesn't matter where the fight goes, she would dominate her opponents, or at least have a clear path to victory. So I hope to see her get challenged one day, just because if she gets challenged, that means there's somebody out there that is just as impressive, as she is, and that would be dope to see two people on that level rather than just one person cleaning everybody up. But for the time being, I will just enjoy these Amanda Nunez fights the same way that I enjoyed the Tyson fights. I mean, if we got to watch her just be completely dominant for the next 5 years, then so be it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Um, I'm just gonna say this before Amanda needs to retire while Michelle Rodriguez is still active. So Michelle could go ahead and do this biopic.
He said,
Hey
look,
man,
man.
yeah,
Look.
like I made the little comment before that Amanda Nunes is everything that is every character Michelle Rodriguez has ever played in any movie. like like
That's
that
funny.
she's the real life version of those characers, dog. She's tough as nails, and she
We gonna start calling her Letty? Was that what we gonna do? Like, but nah, man. Like, I feel you though. She
like
like, it's been. It's funny how with our eyes, Mark, we seen the difference. Like, Ronda Rousey at that time, this is what everybody was trying to say about Ronda Rousey, and I always felt like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
well, you
This
can clearly see somebody. One person was fighting. Well, unfortunately, I can't say she was fighting tomato. I mean, I can and I can't.
He said, I can't look.
Because
Go ahead.
like she was, I mean, one person was fighting people that had no business being in the ring with her, and maybe that's it. Some would argue that that would be because that's when the sport was first, the sport on the women's side was first growing, so they had maybe had a hard time
Yeah.
of finding her proper opponents.
Yeah.
But
And just let's call it what it is. The UFC created a women's division just so she can fight in the
right.
UFC. But go ahead.
Well, uh, and and now it's a difference. Now you actually see people that can actually fight, but Amanda is just blowing through them like they ain't shit. So
Yeah, it's definitely a difference. Like, you don't need stats, you don't need win records, you don't need all that shit, man. You could just see the film and the footage and just be like, yo, she different, man.
yeah, she's gonna have to run it back with that one fight though, that she almost lost. So before she retires, hopefully that'll be very soon. Hopefully, one can
Who's
only
that?
the blonde head chick. What's her name?
Chichinko?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, did you watch it?
yeah, yeah. She's
See
gonna have,
see what I'm saying?
she's gonna have to run that back. She's gonna have to run that back before all said and done. But anyway, let's get into the last fight of the evening. The last fight of the evening was Jan Blachowicz, Blowowitz, or however you pronounce it, versus Israel Adesanya. In this fight, essentially, the way I have it was Izzy won the first two, and Yan won the rest of the fight. This fight shows that, in my opinion, well, not just in my opinion, this fight just shows that Izzy's game plan was shit. He shouldn't have decided to do that. He talked all this shit. Like, listen, I have a problem. I'm gonna go in a little bit, and it's gonna be a little bit hyperbolic, simply because
You sound like I sounded like on the last podcast. Go ahead though.
Oh, that's why I was smiling. I didn't want to say enough for Tyrone, but that's why I'm over here smiling, dog.
Because here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Like, I've been saying that, like, I don't think, like, you leading up to this fight, I've been saying that I don't think his game plan is sound or anything like that. But, like, it bothers me. Like, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt to show me something because you talk so confidently and you've been talking so much shit. And I'm like, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and we're going to see how this play out. But now we saw how it played out, and I'm looking at you like, what are you doing here, dog? Like this is a game to you? Like this is a joke, and then you immediately step out the ring with fucking excuses? Like, I think that was the biggest thing for me. Like, he stepped out the
that
ring.
Did it. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, that shit did it for Mark. That motherfucker Mark was tight. He was like, dog.
Like he immediately stepped out the ring with excuses. And then he was and then he was in the ring. Like, I'm all over the place, people. I'm sorry.
No,
but
keep going.
This motherfucker was in the ring thinking that he was Jackie Chan. Like, what are you doing? This is like this drunken master bullshit don't work. You're losing the fight, and this dude is punching you in the face, and you sitting here wobbling around the ring. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, do something. Actually take this seriously. Like, this can't happen again. Like, you punching up. You are punching up at Jon as if you're ready. And this showed me that you're a child. Like this showed me like that you're just like you're a child about it. Like, because you didn't, like, it seemed like you was in this fight and you started playing around because you knew you wasn't going to win. Like, instead of actually trying to put your effort forth, you started doing bullshit. And then I got mad at Blachowicz because while you're wobbling around and being stone foot because your feet are kind of locked to the ground while you're trying to keep your balance wobbling around, Blachowicz just stood there looking at you. Like, why didn't he spear you into the earth? Because I would have I would have tackled you into the earth, dog. You would have felt it. Like it made no sense to me. Like I was so disappointed by both fighters in this fight, largely. Blockowitz simply because he gave Izzy way too much respect, and Izzy simply because he like disrespected the light heavyweight division, thinking that he could come in there and fight 30 pounds less than and less than the champion. Like, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, it just it made no sense to me. Like there was so many times in this fight, and it was even in the second round. We watched Blockowitz stumble Izzy fall into the gate, and instead of getting on this dude, he backed off. He backed off away from him. Like I'm like, that's not a position you would just like, oh, okay, I'm not going to attack here. I'm not going to go for a clinch here. I'm not going to do anything here. You just literally punched him into the fence and backed off away from him, like this was your best friend and y'all was just doing a little light sparring. Like, and, and then he did it, and then again I believe it was the third. He went for a slam, and Izzy kind of caught himself. He literally could have just laid on him and he would have fell because you outweigh this dude
He
by
was
a
off
lot.
balance and everything.
Yeah,
He
like
was
you
on
just
one foot.
lay on him, he's gonna fall. But then like as soon as he caught himself, you immediately let him go. Like you have the belt. I don't know if anybody told you this, Blackowitz, but you got the belt, my guy. Like there's no need to be like to give this man that much respect. He's challenging you, and he's challenging you way underweight. Like I don't know what Izzy has on these people, but there's an intimidation factor that he has that a lot of these fighters can't overcome. Like we literally watched Blockowitz take him down in the fourth and didn't go for anything more than control. Like that's all he was doing when he had him down in the fourth was controlling him. And he wasn't trying to move into a position to mount to ground and pound and to maul him or anything like that. He was just fighting with control. And in the fifth, in the last 10 seconds, you already heard the wood blocks clap together, and now you decide to fucking mount him and start throwing punches. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, no. I'm not with that shit. But
okay,
go ahead.
look, Tyrone, man. I have to ask you a question, man. I know this shit. How does it feel? How does it feel to hear Mark speak about Izzy in this way, and it doesn't have to be you this time? How does it feel, man?
It seems like I got a believer now. Now you understand what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's the thing, though. I was never not a believer of like I still believe Izzy has skills or whatever. I was never not a believer of who would win between Jon and Izzy or whatever like that. Or would Izzy be able to I never believed Izzy would be able to beat the light heavyweight division at 200 pounds. I never believed that. That was just asking.
The passion you have behind this is a little different than before, Mark.
Well, the passion.
I
Well, yes,
notice.
the passion I have behind it now is because of what I've seen. Like because essentially like now this is something that you said before, Tyrone. You said it's different when you're the bigger guy, you're the taller guy, you have the reach advantage, you have all these advantages. So you can sit there and leg kick all day and these people can't get within your range. You could throw jabs, they can't get within your range. You could do these different things. Like, hey, you're 6'2", 6'3", this guy is 6'1". Like he's right there with you. He's your size. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's right there with you. You have a 77 reach. He has a 76-inch reach. Like, I'm just throwing numbers out. But essentially what I'm saying is that massive size advantage that you had down here, you're not having it at the because essentially Izzy is supposed to be a light heavyweight fighter. He's supposed to be a light heavyweight fighter. He fights at middle class because he can dominate down there, and that's great and that's fine and all. But we know what it is, and you've been punching up this whole time, like it's something more than that, and you have come out and essentially shown that it's not anything more than that, and it's like you came into this fight with a built-in excuse. So, and that's why I feel as though you didn't even ever try to properly go up. Like I want to preserve my speed. Like that's great. You can preserve your speed by properly moving up in weight as well. Like
that is true.
so,
Okay, so this is one thing I wanted to talk about because, like, I know you mentioned the weight and everything. Because what he weighed in at what
200.
at
200.
200, right?
He didn't even
200.5,
weigh in
whatever
at
it was.
205, 200.
Yeah, 200. I said 200.5. It was like whatever the measurements they had. It doesn't matter. He came in at 200 pounds, right? Now, Mark, I know you said you would like to see what they weighed the night of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna assume that Izzy was still at 200 pounds.
No, that's
You know what I'm
his
saying?
natural. That's his walk around
Yes,
weight. So
I
he
know
weighs
that.
that every single day.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So fight night, he was 200 pounds. Now, his opponent, I obviously we were talking about. He's probably like 230. He's probably 220. I don't know how much weight they can put on that quickly. Tyrone, you would know better than us. But I'm gonna assume that uh Blockowitz or whatever. I'm gonna assume he wasn't at 205 on the night of the fight. So with that said, there was definitely a size advantage as far as weight, strength, all these other things. And this is the difference, Mark, between people and athletes that are great, that are the greatest, and the ones that are just great. For example, you have a guy like Jordan that was able to dominate without honing the rest of his skills. And guess what he still did? He still got better defensively. He still developed a jump shot. He still developed a fadeaway. He did all these things. He was already the best player when he was working on his skills. He's working on his craft. You know what I'm saying? To make sure he didn't have any holes in his game, even though with the holes in his game, he was still better than everybody else. A guy like Jon Jones, I'm going to bring it back to UFC. A guy like Jon Jones was dominant when he came out. When he came out the gate, he was dominant. Jon Jones has continued to work on this craft. You know, even being the dominant fighter that he is. When you watch an Izzy fight, even leading up to this, you see a guy who was leaning on the crutches of the advantages that he has physically. And you know, in any sport, Mark, it doesn't matter what sport you play. Once you lean on your physical attributes and your physical gifts and your physical advantages, your lifespan on top is very short. Because the second you get a little bit slower, the second you deal with somebody your size, you know what I'm saying? Now these advantages are gone, and now you got to fight me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to fight me. And he got put into an actual fight with an opponent where he didn't have these physical advantages, like you said, and look what happened. It didn't look like he had any other tools in the toolbox. I felt like he had other tools in the toolbox. If they were there, this is when he should have brought them out, and I didn't see any of them. So this is what concerns me. Either he doesn't have the tools in the toolbox, or he has them, but he's not comfortable using them. And either way, it doesn't matter. That's going to equal an L for him in the light heavyweight division if he goes back. I don't care who he's fighting. So this is the issue. You know what I'm saying? He tried to run, Mark. He tried to do exactly what he did in middleweight. He tried to kick and run. He tried to strike. He tried to just counter punch his way through it. And eventually, by the third round, Blachowicz is like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just press. He didn't even press him that much more, Mark. He just pressed him just a little bit. And that was enough. That was enough for him to outscore him for the rest of the fight. So it's like you got beat by a guy that wasn't even trying to beat you, essentially.
You got beat by a guy that was afraid of you.
You got beat by a guy that was trying to protect his belt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened, man. He just got the belt. He's trying to make sure he don't look silly losing it to you. And maybe part of that is the mystique that is Izzy, but either way, the point is this dude wasn't even trying to really fight you. He wasn't trying to bring the fight to you, and he beat you. What is going to happen when you fight another light heavyweight that's actually saying, dog, I was hoping a chump like you would come up to this weight class so I could prove to you that you don't belong here. He's going to be in for a long night, man. Look, Izzy, please stay in the middleweight division if you want to go on your Floyd Mayweather run. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the middleweight division. You know what I'm saying? You go up to light heavyweight and you're going to get beat again. Do you want to be dominant or do you want to be a fighter? Because if you want to be a fighter, take the challenge and take it seriously. Like Mark's saying, man, prepare yourself properly to go up in weight class. Don't just try to jump up, think you're going to fight the champ and win. You know what I'm saying? But I guess, Mark, my disgust comes from a different perspective. I guess my disgust comes from the point that I feel like he's disrespectful to the sport.
No, but that's where mine comes from.
Yeah, because I don't care about his disrespect to the fighters anymore. I feel like he's disrespecting the sport.
Exactly. Like I feel as though he's not taking the fight. Like he's not taking it seriously.
No, he's not.
That's weird.
He's not, man.
He's being weird. Like he's being. It's hard to describe, but I feel as though he's being childish. But let's give the mic over to the star of the show this evening. Like sweet vindication for Tyrone. So let's hear it.
So there's a lot of things that's going on right now. So I got Mark agreeing with me about Izzy's trash, pretty much. We got DC. Did you hear what DC said today?
No, I didn't.
This is one thing that I would agree with DC. I'm not gonna fault him. He says, I got it pulled up. Even today, for as much as we love Jon Blachowicz and how great he is, I still think that Jon Jones is the best 205 pounder in the world. Well, after Izzy lost.
Hey, absolutely. You are.
But it should have never been a question
from DC.
But yeah, that is big coming from DC.
That is massive coming from DC.
That's big coming from DC.
And let's not forget what this was. Let's not forget what it was. Like everybody's kind of focusing on the spotlight. What this was Izzy's a troller. That's all he does. He's a troller. He's the MMA version of Tekashi 6ix9ine, pretty much. If you guys know who that is, that's all he is. Agree. So this move up to the 205 division was not to be a double champion. Was not to prove he can be in the 205 division. It was a slight at Jon Jones. That's what it was. He vacated his belt and he was going to get it and be like, nah, look what I got.
Oh, he would have the first thing he would have done in the post-fight, like he wouldn't even got to the post-fight interview like out in the booth. He would have been in the ring, and the first thing that would have came out of his mouth is Jon Jones. Where you at? You scared? You running? I got the belt. Come get it. He would have said all kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah, he would have flipped it like Jon Jones ran and all this other stuff, and he wants it back. He got to go through me, and he would have never accepted the fight. And it'll look like Jon Jones was running. And he was a chicken. It backfired in his face.
Yeah. Oh,
and
it was all set up.
Yeah, and it was all set up that way, but people forget that. And as you look at it, even when he lost, I didn't like Conor McGregor when he came out because he was kind of the way Izzy was. But what made me a Conor McGregor fan is when he lost, he took his loss like a man. He made no excuses. He went back to the drawing board and he came back a better fighter.
Same thing like me.
First thing Izzy does, he makes it kind of like obscure. He's like, well, I lost because I was up drinking last night or doing lines. Okay, so were you really drinking? Is that an excuse? Or are you still trolling Paulo Costa? Because you just lost, bro. And Mark's upset at Jon Blachowicz, and I understand why a lot of people are upset. They feel that Jon could have dominated, and they kind of saved Izzy's stock because people were like, well, it could have went anyway. It looked like he was outstriking him. But that's due to the commentary. The commentary was extremely biased. If you look at the fight cards, if you look at the cards on that fight, Jon Blachowicz lost one round. He outstruck Izzy 4 rounds to 1.
Well, I thought he lost the first round, and that was it.
1 round, and that was round number 2.
Round 2? Well,
round 2.
Yeah.
So it was extremely biased. And, when we was on a live feed, if I had been there a little bit more, I could have been able to point that out, how biased it was. But being me having to type and it had to be a delayed, it was kind of hard. But John Blachowicz was reacting to feints, but he was also baiting Izzy in. He was baiting Izzy in. He was landing on Izzy more. He was throwing the overhand right a little bit more. He was baiting out. He was making him switch stances, which Izzy can only attack certain ways in certain stances. That's genius. I know you're not going to throw a kick in your southpaw stance because you never do. I know you will throw kicks in your orthodox stance because you always do. So if you notice the fight, if you go back and watch it, John Blachowicz would attack in the southpaw stance. He would get him to switch and attack in the southpaw stance. So it was DC being biased because he wanted Izzy to win because he hates Jon Jones. It was just the commentary altogether. It was just like they were like saying, "Oh, Izzy's piecing him up. Oh, Izzy's doing this. Oh," when he wasn't. If you look at the judges' scorecards, if you look at the strikes thrown, Blachowicz was dominating that fight. And then you throw in the takedowns. You throw in the takedowns at the last two rounds.
Yeah,
it was
no,
a wrap.
he
was
had,
a
he had
wash.
though.
It was a wash. Yeah, like the last 3 rounds were so clear to me. It didn't matter what they would like. But to your point, I was wondering what they were seeing because I was like, they can't be watching the same fight.
But no, the reason why I don't give round 1 to Blachowicz is because of control. Just not control of the person, but control of the ring. Like,
yes.
And Izzy clearly had control of the ring in round 1. Like and it was too and it did not seem as though Blachowicz, it was tactical, and it like him moving back and stuff like that did not appear to be tactical. Like because we see fighters like Floyd or like Floyd Mayweather or John or there's another fighter that I'm thinking of, but we see fighters when they tactically are moving back or moving away. This seemed the first round seemed as though Izzy is pressing you and he's pressing you around the ring versus you controlling and drawing Izzy in. So that's why I had to give the first round to Izzy.
And what I'll say, just to speak to what Mark was saying, is in the first round, like him reacting to the feints in the first round felt different than him reacting to the feints later on in the fight.
Yeah.
Yes, I felt like what was happening was he was filling Izzy out in the first round, which, like you said, we expect those types of things to happen. But in the moment of filling him out, he was also trying to go the whole round without getting hit. And in that mindset, you know what I'm saying? He's backing up. He's reacting to every little flinch. He's, you know what I'm saying? And in a sense, even though Izzy's, just throwing feints out there and then kind of trying to play the defensive game, I felt like that's still an area where he was controlling. I mean, to me, to be honest with you, I felt like the first 2 rounds you could have given to either person, but that's just me. But yeah, so like I have no problems with anybody giving Izzy the first round or the first 2 rounds. But either way, man, like there was not, I did not see anything from Izzy in this fight that made me think that he could come back to the light heavyweight division and fight anybody.
And he can't. He doesn't do the type of training he needs to get there. He doesn't want to get heavier because it's going to take away from his speed. But the one thing I will give Izzy is this: is that, like Mark said, that he was stunned. He fell against the gate, and John didn't attack. Jan didn't attack, but Izzy has a good poker face. I noticed that when he gets hurt,
he does.
When he gets hurt, he moves forward, so it makes you feel like he's not hurt, and it makes you readjust your strategy. He was hurt about 4 or 5 times, and he moved forward.
He took some hits, man. I was like, I was surprised. I was actually impressed by that. I'll give him that. I was impressed with some of the stuff that his reactions to the hits, man.
Yeah, he moves forward. I was like, he's hurt. And he moved forward, and I was like, well, if I hurt somebody and they move forward on me and they throwing strikes, I probably would back up too. but I know he's hurt. You can tell by the way he was walking. You can tell the way his eyes roll back in his head. But that's the third person view. I'm watching the third person opposed to first person, you know. So I will give him that. His poker face is strong, like different from Dominic Reyes. He ran the whole time. Everyone's like, well, he dominated Dominic Reyes. Like, how come he couldn't do it to Izzy? Dominic ran the whole time. Like, he get hit, he moved the hell out of the way, and he didn't hide the hurt. You know, you could see he was hurt, and Jan pounced on him. But with Izzy, when he was hurt, he moved forward. He didn't run, which made Jan back up because he knows how dangerous Izzy could be. And it could be some personal things too. I don't want to lose to a middleweight. I'm supposed to be the lightweight champion.
No.
I don't lose,
Hell no. And he just got the belt. He's not trying to lose that thing. Like, I have no problem. I mean, I know what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But I understood why he took the approach he did. Mark, here's a question for you, for both of you guys. Everybody seems to respect Izzy's striking ability, and for me, as a MMA fan, a UFC fan, I don't respect a striker's striking ability unless there's power behind it. So my question to you is, when it comes to Izzy, do you think people are over-respecting his striking ability, or do you believe that he has the level of power that is equal to the amount of respect that people give his striking?
I don't feel he has that power. I don't feel he has that power. I feel they jump into the mystique of who he is, his personality, you know, the way the UFC marketing team can get behind him and send him a camera crew, and they can make him look like the next best thing. He has a flashy name, you know, if you know where that comes from, that's cool. He's in his 30s, but he kind of seems like he's in his 20s. You know what I mean?
He acts like it. That's why. Yeah. But the reason why I asked this question is because, like, I haven't seen it come to fruition, but people keep telling me, and he keeps getting marketed as being one of the most dangerous strikers, and I'm just like, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet. I mean,
he got Brunson. Okay, so if you look at his career all the way from 2012, he was getting knockouts. But like I said, and I dare anybody who's listening to the show, go look up at his record, and you'll see he fought basically nobody until he got to the UFC. These people were having like 0 wins, 10 losses, whatever. But that's one thing. So he was getting knockouts on them. When he came up to the UFC, you will automatically start to see that his knockout ratio started to decrease. He beat Derek Brunson with knockout. He knocked him out. He got Robert Whittaker with a knockout, and he got Paulo Costa with a knockout. But I mean, that's like 3 fighters out of the 8 that he's fought. So he's very precise, but he's the longer fighter. He's the taller fighter, and sometimes he's the more aggressive fighter. And then you got this mystique behind you, and fighters say they don't pay attention to that, but they do. They do. Nobody wants to be a highlight reel, and they do.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I just didn't see any reason why a light heavyweight would be respecting his power. I
feel like it was the mystique, honestly. I feel like it was, he's like, well, this guy's been toted about. Didn't Daniel Cormier do a whole detailed episode about him, about how precise and powerful he is? You don't know how powerful somebody is until they touch you. So if I was a light heavyweight, and I'm like, yo, you gotta fight Izzy. You gotta fight Izzy. And I'm like, I don't know how strong that dude is. He might have the Thanos glove on, you know? Yeah. I don't want to find out the wrong way. You know, so it could be that. It could be that.
True. You hear the hype. You don't want to find out by
the wrong way.
By experience. Yeah, you don't want to find out by experience. You're like, you know what? I don't believe it, but just in case, I'm just not gonna let him hit me.
Okay. Right. I think if they had a rematch, I think Jan was steamrolling. He was steamrolling.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm just trying to understand that. You know, you're the fighter. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So I like to pick your brain about stuff like that. So
yeah.
All right.
And just a fun fact, since Aljamain Sterling's come up as a champion, we got 14 divisions in the UFC. We only got 2 American champions. I think that's pretty cool how universal the UFC has gotten. That it used to be back in the day, all the champions were United States citizens. And now We only got 2 United States citizens as champions out of 14 divisions.
I was gonna say either you were American or you were Brazilian. That's just
Yeah,
what it
something
was.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was it.
we got Russians, we got Brazilians, we got New Zealand. We got a couple New Zealand champions with Izzy and Volkanov. Yeah, it's pretty dope right now. I mean,
no, it's dope. It is.
It's starting to become a sport where you can start rooting for your country. You're kind of like like the Olympics a little bit if we do that. But
yeah, or like boxing, because
boxing, boxing.
Boxing is like that too. So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That was a really in-depth thing that we just did. That was a long time. So I didn't expect it to be that long, but it was.
I thought it was a good conversation.
Yeah. But with that being said, that's our UFC review. Izzy ain't shit, and nobody.
Say that, man.
And DC is a groupie. DC is a groupie.
Like I said, I'm just being hyperbolic, man. Like, I don't think Izzy's not shit, but I feel as though he's punching up and then doesn't want to take accountability for his bad game plan and all that, and that bothers me. That's just being completely honest with no hyperbole. But this is no hyperbole at all. But this fight absolutely showed me that absolutely no one in the light heavyweight division should be fighting Jon Jones. Jon Jones was correct in leaving that division, because
I thought he should have left. I
no
thought
one
he
should be
should
fighting
have
him.
left. I thought he should have left 2 years ago, but that's just me. Maybe I'll be wanting people to move on too quickly, but yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he should have moved on.
His fight against someone the other day was saying Reyes fought him close or whatever like that, and I just Reyes did fight him close, but I just looked at it like you were looking at a disillusioned fighter with that division. Like he just doesn't have the passion to want to dismantle anybody in that division anymore. So
it's not even that. I've heard that discussion too, man. Like, so you got to know the rules. You got Jon Jones scoring. He scored about 101 punches in that fight. You got Dominic Reyes scoring about 112 punches. So that's why they feel that he should have won. But you got total control at 1:31 to Jon Jones. You got 2 out of 9 takedowns by Jon Jones.
Oh,
and so they score those. And
I'm not saying. Oh, excuse me. I'm not saying that he should have won. And I know how scoring works.
Okay, we good. My bad.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Even when you're talking about the strikes, like, if Jon wanted to fight you for real or wanted to, we know Jon could have just came in there and just what, like he could have.
Yeah. Jon Jones's punch percentage accuracy was 64%.
I know it was 60% versus 40. Versus 40%. But Jon could have really put it on if he wanted to. But that's what I'm saying. He was like, I know you can't beat me, so I'm just going to do enough to beat you. Versus trying to beat him, he was like, I'm just going to do enough to beat you.
I call it the Mayweather Syndrome. You know how Mayweather would just go in there and just do what Mayweather does. You know what I mean? We know Mayweather could knock out anybody he wants, finish anybody. He never did. He just
after a certain point, he couldn't finish anybody, because if he went for the finisher and didn't get it, then he wasn't using his right hand for the rest of the fight. So that's kind of after a certain point, he couldn't do it no more, because his right hand is truly fucked up. If he puts any real thing behind it, it's like he only got five real punches with it. After that, he's no more. So, But anyway, like I was saying, moving on. In basketball recently, the Brooklyn Nets have signed Blake Griffin. And the world went nuts. Wrap it up. It's all over. They got this in the bag. It's a done deal. Um, and I just want to talk about this simply because I want to talk about the counterpoint of Blake Griffin isn't good, guys. He hasn't been good for like 2 years. Um, and and I've been talking to people like, why do you feel as though this is a done deal? Why is it wrap it up situation or whatever like that? There's actually people out there that believe that Blake Griffin has been sandbagged. Like they believe that Blake Griffin is like that he had something in the tank. He just didn't want to be in Detroit. Um,
Look, man.
for over 2 years, he's been doing that.
I was just gonna say, Mark, I give it to him this year, and I'm not gonna say for this whole year, just for the recent, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, that doesn't explain his stats from last year.
Right.
Hamster don't do that, and I know he wasn't sandbagging last year. Like, nah, man, no way. Because if he was sandbagging last year to get up out of there, he would have voiced his opinion the same way he did this year. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. I'm gonna let you finish your thoughts on this shit before I get
Nah,
into it.
man,
Where you want me to go?
that's
Oh,
my thoughts on it, man.
okay. So let me get into this, man. So you got the fans that are just. I strongly believe that this is a case of two things. You have you have people that are just remembering Blake Griffin for what he used to be and for what they hope to be. Everybody's just hoping that it was the Detroit situation as to why. Mark, me and you talked about this. Well, briefly mentioned it. You said he's not the guy that he used to be with the Clippers, and you happen to also mention he's not the guy that he was when he first got to the Clippers. And I wanted to mention that because when he first got to the Clippers, he was still doing Blake Griffin things.
You mean
That was
first got
his
to
first
Detroit?
year. My bad. First got to Detroit. Yes, he was doing Blake Griffin things. That was in his first year. It's been downhill since then because he can't stay healthy. Okay, let's call it what it is, man. So like, this is a thing of people are just hoping that, well, it's the Detroit Pistons situation, and that's why he hasn't been looking good. And they're hoping that when he goes there to the Nets, that he'll magically become the old Blake Griffin. No, it's not going to happen. Number two, I also believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, this goes along with the I hate LeBron crowd. They want to see LeBron lose so bad. They were excited to see James Harden go over there. They're excited now to see Blake Griffin go over there. Anybody that gets added to the Nets roster that has somewhat of a name, they're going to be excited about because they want to see. People are tired of seeing LeBron go to the finals. I don't even think people care if he wins or not. They just don't want to see him there. Yes, they get some joy about him. They get joy when he loses the finals, but there's people that would rather him just not be there. But right now, if he does get there, they want him specifically to lose to Durant and Kyrie because that's really what this is. People like Kyrie, people like Durant. People have mixed feelings about Harden, but I would like to say that there's more people that like Harden than you know than hate him basically. So now you have that whole situation, and now people are just like, oh man, they this might do it. This might be enough to win a championship. It's not just about winning the championship for these fans. It's about them winning a championship over the Lakers. They're hoping the Lakers go so that they can beat them. So, but with that said, Mark, I do believe that this addition to the Nets is somewhat of a meaningful addition, but not for the reasons that people think. Because if you can get if you can get just half of the defense that he's capable of, and if you could get 12 points a game and 8 rebounds a game from Blake Griffin on that team, it would mean the world to them. So I believe this move does make them better, but I don't think it makes them a shoo-in to win a title like some people do. I don't now that Mark. I do not understand why anybody would believe that, but I think that's just the wishful thinking in those in the haters' mind or the super fans of the whole Kyrie and KD crew, you know. But
Well,
yeah,
I feel
we'll
as
see how
though,
it goes.
yeah, I'm gonna just say this. I feel as though this their shots to win the title don't like, if it makes them better at all, their shot to win the title doesn't change in the least. Like it's the exact same level it was with them as it was without them. Their chances of beating the Sixers is the exact same shot they had with them as they did without them. Like
Well,
I don't feel as though Blake, like if he does move the needle in a positive manner, I do not feel as though Blake Griffin moves the needle enough in the positive manner to matter against the teams that could possibly beat them.
okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And this is what and this is what I'll also say is with um with him being added to the team. Once again, injuries. He's a guy that cannot stay. You think Kyrie gets hurt a lot? Like, dog, y'all really gonna hate Blake Griffin because this motherfucker is never gonna stay. Like, forget everything. Is he gonna be healthy for the playoffs? You don't even know.
Hey
Like,
man, listen, maybe like I hear that the comedy clubs in Brooklyn are really good. So maybe that's why Blake was really excited about going to Brooklyn.
don't do that. Don't do that,
What do
man.
you mean? He's an excellent comedian. He's hilarious.
He is funny in commercial. I like all of his commercials. He is actually really funny.
Like, have you ever
But
watched the YouTube of his stand-up? He's funny. He's a funny guy.
oh no, but I probably will now that I know it exists. Yeah, I'll probably check it out. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he got a lot of personality. I like him.
No.
Look,
See, I wasn't kidding. Like, no, he really does stand-up. I don't.
yeah, no,
I didn't know you didn't know that he does stand-up.
yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, I thought you was like he's a funny guy. He's some comedy. I was like, no, I didn't.
No,
You know,
no,
yo, he
Blake
actually
Griffin
does
does
stand up. Oh,
stand-up.
okay, yeah. No, okay, but now I got something to check out on YouTube. But with that said, Mark, I don't know, man. I do understand what they're trying to do, and I guess the biggest reason why I see this as an improvement is because this is the one move that they made where they didn't have to give up anything,
Okay, fair enough.
and he's working off a league minimum. So like they're saying for the rest of the season, he will be paid $1.2 million over the course of the rest of the season.
Damn.
So
Mm.
so yes, they're getting him on a low. He's basically Boogie Cousins now, Mark. That's who he is. I just had to make that reference for you, Mark, because I'm pretty sure you feel me on that. He's Boogie Cousins now. I don't
Okay.
think you can expect more from him than what Boogie Cousins has been giving everybody for the last 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Boogie has more to offer, or had more to offer in that last year he was with the Warriors. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. But all right, man. What else we got, man? What else we got?
All right. So with that being said, we are now going to get into the final conversation of the evening, which is in the NFL today. Today is being March 9th. And it's 11:31 p.m. Just to let you guys know that we burn the oil fairly late to record these things. But yeah. So today was the franchise tag day, the final day of franchise tag. So now we know who will be officially free agents and and who will be staying where they are. Um, and in that, we found out. Well, first of all, let's just talk about it. Dak Prescott was one of
Yeah.
the signings of today, and he signed the second largest contract in NFL history today, which is just behind Patrick Mahomes. Uh, he is due to make $160 million over 4 years. Um, Technically, it's over 6 years, but he will only be playing for the team for four. Um, so, which is so when people say he's getting paid $40 million a year, essentially he's not. he's getting paid $26 million a year, because it pays out over, even though it's a 4 year contract, it pays out over six. Um,
And I just want to mention real quick that is 120 million is guaranteed, fully
yes,
guaranteed.
120 million is fully guaranteed, which is correct. He has a no trade clause, and the biggest kicker about the whole thing is that he has a no franchise tag clause in the contract as well. So he has the whole kit caboodle and everything, um, in this contract. He probably has the best contract to ever exist in the NFL, unless you're Patrick Mahomes. So,
Yeah. Oh, this is
um,
definitely like you got one, and then you got two, and then you got everybody else's contracts right now. Yes.
exactly. This this contract, um, I'm not going to speak of the position that he's being overpaid, because uh, if I was to speak from that position, you would have to understand that I feel as though every quarterback in the NFL, every top tier quarterback in the NFL is overpaid. If you make, essentially, I feel as though if you make anywhere near a quarter of your team's cap space, then you're overpaid. So like you you can't take up a significant percentage of a team's cap space is my personal opinion. But with that being said, um, he's not overpaid, based on what quarterbacks are paid, simply because of the way that the situation that the Dallas Cowboys have put themselves in. Excuse me. If they had gave him the money the first time when he asked, and then he would probably be getting 30 million a year, over 4 years, with the franchise tag, and and all the other provisions that he wanted. But because they played hardball with him and all this other stuff, they franchise tagged him. He he was fully healthy at that time, and
Yeah.
now they franchise tagged him, and they paid a a quarterback that is coming off of a shattered ankle. Like, so, now you painted yourself into this position because you don't know what your future holds, and you have a team that's built to win now for the most part, outside of your defense. So you gotta, so you this is the position you planted yourselves in, and now you just gotta eat it, man. And you paid the man, and it wasn't like he didn't deserve it. He was on the tear last year. He was definitely going to have 5,000 yards, considering the way he was.
Well, I think that he very well could have broken every passing record
Yeah,
last year. It was very possible. Like even with him slowing down, he still would have surpassed that. So like, I mean, granted, we've seen how fast Russell Wilson started and how fast that fizzled out.
yeah,
But yes, he definitely had an opportunity to though. So
yeah.
um,
That's. I mean, what you're saying is
yeah,
fair to say.
yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't count that out, but he definitely showed that he got this. He made this offense go, because when Andy Dalton came in, the team, for whatever reason that you may want to say, the team just didn't look the same. It didn't look the same under any other quarterback, even though they still had the same offensive weapons. The offensive line might have been different or whatever have you, but the weapons were still the same, and they
It
just
didn't
did.
have that same feel, man.
It didn't have that
Not at
same
all.
feel at all. So so with that, it shows and prove that he's deserving of money. Is he deserving of 160 million over 4 years? I don't know, but um, he got it, and I just think I just think it's interesting the way that Jerry Jones has uh, played this out. I don't think that this is going to put them in a hugely bad position, simply because of the way the contract is structured.
Yeah.
Like he like I said, it's over 6 years. I guess the only problem I could see with it is if he decides to leave at the end of this 4 years, because then you have to pay $26.6 million for 2 more years to a guy that's not even on your team.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to get into with that is because I'm looking at the details right now of the contract, the full details, and this is what it's saying. It's saying it says 6 years, 164. Obviously, 4 years is really the contract. It says years 5 and 6 on the contract are voidable to help the Cowboys manage their salary cap in the future. So, in conclusion, it's a 4-year deal. And it says the contract allows Prescott to re-enter the market following the 2024 season. Like you said, it's up to him. If he wants to move, hold on, I don't know what's going on with the camera. If he wants to move into free agency at that point, then he can. So let me look at the next thing here. So here it also says his salary cap hit for the next season is 22 million. That's it. 22 million for the next season is the salary cap hit. So you're talking about they're actually saving $15.5 million if they would have franchised him again this year. So right now, the brilliance, it's a really brilliant contract for the sake of these are two people that needed each other. Dak needs the Cowboys just as much as the Cowboys need Dak. It's a really weird codependency situation going on here to where both lose value without each other. So they had to pay him, man. They had to give the man what he wanted. And they did it in a way to where, remember, Dak wanted less years. Dak got the 4 years that he wanted, Mark. And that's the important thing. Now, if he wants the money total, he has to stick around. And that's where the Cowboys would get what they want. But if he's not happy and he wants to go get another bag somewhere else, he can leave after 4 years. But in turn, the Cowboys can void the last 2 years of the contract, which would save them money. So it's I don't know who came up with this.
So hold on. So with that being said, essentially, if it's a 4-year contract and it's voidable, then essentially he's not. It's not essentially it's $26.6 million a year.
Yes, it is, and that's the key. So even people are calling this a $40 million a year contract.
So it's not a $40 million contract at all.
It's not, Mark, and that's the funny thing about it. And I understand. I'm sure they agreed to market it as such when they gave the media the info. Hey, call it a 4-year deal because the other last 2 years they guaranteed, but call it 164 mil because that's the number on the page. You see what I'm saying? But that's the thing. So, but just think about that. If they're only dealing with the $26 million against the cap hit, then that's cool. But the biggest thing for Dak is he's getting $75 million in this first year because of the $60 million bonus that he's getting. So he's going to get $75 million in the first year of his contract. So this is, I'm guessing, Mark, that this is how they were able to satisfy his need for the 40 million. Now, if you add it up, Mark, 26 million a year, but he's getting 60 million up front.
$126 million is guaranteed, correct?
Yes. What I'm trying to tell you is the 60 million bonus, if you average that out over the 4 years, then it totals up to 40 million a year.
Yeah. But
so yes.
100 but if $126 million guaranteed over 4 years is 31.5.
Yes.
So he's making $31.5 million a year, essentially.
Yes.
Like that's the real number. That's not the media number. The real number is he is a $31.5 million quarterback, which is extremely reasonable versus what is being reported and what's being bloviated across every channel. And that's because and that's not even the channel's fault. The details weren't out yet, and that's what they were told to report.
So it's a complicated contract, but within the complications, it seems like it works out for both parties. And the biggest thing is the Cowboys have an out after 4 years. But during the 4 years, Dak is getting his money.
Yeah. And it
So
seems like the last 2 years of the contract, he ain't like
he can opt out and they can void it. So it's just
and
like,
not only that, but it seems like if 30 because if 126 is guaranteed, that means he
part of
that means that's all front loaded. That means year 5 and 6, he's making considerably less money because with that, even with that added, that brings that average down. It doesn't
yes, it's a
continue
front
at
loaded contract.
31.5. It brings the average all the way down to 26.6.
Yeah, it's a front loaded contract for that
Yeah.
reason because Dak wants his money up front. If they keep like their hope, I guess they're doing this in hopes that hey, by 4 years, Dak realizes, yo, this is where he belongs. Now, Dak can go and test free agency if he wants to, but we all know right now, I mean, Dak would have to really prove himself on the field as to be something other than just, hey, you got a bunch of weapons and you got the right system. So, I mean, it's giving Dak the opportunity to prove himself, to give him the ability to walk away in 4 years and make more money. But for Dallas, it's giving them the opportunity to have their quarterback. And the reason why Dallas was paid into this corner mark is because of what the first 4 weeks looked like. It looked like they had a win now team. All you need is a couple of tweaks on defense. And for that reason, you can't say we have Andy Dalton and we're willing to wait 2 seasons for Dalton to get fully acclimated to the team and the system. They don't have that time. They don't have that time if the team is ready to win now and your salary cap is already maxed out. So I thought it was, I just think it's a genius contract. We'll see what it pans out to be. I'm not mad at either party. I'm actually kind of, I think both of them got what they wanted out of this situation. So we'll see what it turns into.
I'm gonna go on to say this, that all day it was the Cowboys, are they stupid or whatever, go black man get your money, this, that, and the third. And the black man get your money part is still true, but this is still a very team friendly deal.
Yeah.
Now that you and I discussed these details further in depth, that this is a extremely team friendly deal. Like, no part of this did the Cowboys actually lose out on. That got paid, but no part of this the Cowboys lose out on. And I think it's excellent that Dak is making $31.5 million over the next 4 years and can't be franchise tagged again. Like, that's huge. And I believe I heard somewhere, but I can't confirm it, that they were possibly going to franchise tag him simply so that if he were to go to another team, like, that another team couldn't franchise tag him, because if they were to, they would have to do it as the third, like, that's his,
and then that's going to cost them 42
nobody,
million.
and
Yeah.
Trying to take that number ever.
Because like if I'm not mistaken, that would have put him into 42 million in the 2022 season, and nobody wants to pay Dak 20 to 42 million for a year.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that. So yeah, you're right. It's business, man.
So hey, man, like, this was a win-win for both teams. Thank you for that information, Shawn.
Yeah.
Hopefully, whoever's listening now, you have a little bit more information about this contract. So this is not the contract that was being discussed earlier. This is not a $40 million a year contract.
Yeah.
This is that was just
that's to make Dak feel good.
That was just to make Dak feel good and make his agent look great.
Yeah.
And also to keep the Cowboys in the news, because nobody
yeah.
because if it wasn't for the massive, if you don't talk about it, that signing as it being massive, then they'd be like, everybody be like, great, that got paid, and now they're moving on. But because it was like, oh, well, does he really deserve that much, or will this hurt the Cowboys, blah 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 blah, like, now we know. And this is something that I want to do because I want to understand the Rams. I want to understand their cap space more. So I want to look more into their different
uh,
players' contracts because like they continuously sign people, and
dog,
it's like,
they
well,
got to
where
be
the
cooking the
fuck is all
books,
this
man.
cap
I don't
space coming from?
like. They got to be cooking the books. They got like 3 lawyers, a couple of fucking accountants in there. They
Well,
doing whatever they can to shuffle the things around to make it look legal. But I guarantee they have to be doing something illegal, Mark. I don't know.
they're over the cap by they're over the cap by 35 million. But that 35 million that they're over the cap by, I believe, is simply off of Jared Goff. Like I believe that money is
Yeah,
directly
that's the
tied.
dead money. That's the dead money for
That's the
Jared
dead
Goff.
money because their dead money is
See,
34.125
makes
million.
sense.
So I believe that's pretty much all Jared Goff that has them over the
Yeah,
cap space, which is why they essentially can eat that. Um, but keeping in the cap space conversation, we're going to talk about the NFL free agency.
yeah,
Because of COVID-19, teams not being able to have play fans in the stands and the money being less, teams making less, the cap space is down this year. And in the cap space being down this year, a lot of teams have flat out said, well, we're going to protect the dollar, and we're not going to be signing guys that we would normally sign. So there's going to be a lot of gold in this free agency
whew,
this
man, yeah,
year. A whole lot of gold in the NFL free agency this year. This will be one of the better free agent. This will probably be the best free agent class ever to exist. Um, when it in football, period. Um, and there's only a few teams that are in poised position to take advantage of it. Um, and I'm just going to list off some of the teams' names that are in the position to take advantage of it. The Jaguars they have 71 million in cap space.
yeah. There's nobody that's paid on that team, Mark.
Yeah,
And the one guy that they should have paid, he's one of those free agents that we're gonna talk about here. So
right. Allen Robinson came from the Jaguars, right?
that was a couple years ago. He's with
No,
the
but he did come from the Jaguars.
oh yes, you know, any significant player that has ever came through the Jaguars has been let go at the end of their contract, so they didn't have to pay them.
No, but I'm just
But
no
yeah,
because I was saying that because Allen Robinson being a free agent may be going back, maybe
maybe,
going back to the
maybe,
Jaguars.
maybe, but no, that's definitely where he came from. Yep.
Yeah, like Jaguars have 71 million, Jets have 67, Patriots have 66 million, Colts have 44, Bengals have 40, the Washington football team has 36, Broncos have 30, and then you have Chargers, 49ers, Browns, Dolphins in the 20s. And then out and from there it's just normal cap space levels until you get to the Cowboys, which is in dead money. So like they all have dead money issues and they're over the cap. So with that with that being said, like you have at least 10 teams that could like just go build a team in free agency. Uh,
Facts.
so like that's going to be interesting, especially giving um the Patriots the way that they looked last year. Well, it looks like they may be laughing their way to the bank this year.
Before the season started, Mark, we mentioned about how many COVID opt outs they had. And I said, these guys, it's all a ploy to get these players to opt out. They probably push them to opt out just so they can have the cap space, man. I called it before the season started, and look at how much cap space they got. Do you think they're going to use this cap space to re-sign the players that opted out for COVID? Because
Uh,
I don't think so, Mark. But
I don't know. Probably not.
yeah,
But another thing is the Colts. The Colts is another one to look at. The Colts been having 44 million in space, and now you have a brand new quarterback that you don't have to pay this year because the Eagles still picking up that tab. Thank you very much.
yeah,
Um, you have 44 million, and this is going to have a lot of wide receivers in this class that didn't that either haven't been signed by their team or they haven't been franchise tagged by their team. You have Kenny Galladay, who is out there on free agency. Oh, that's right. Allen Robinson was franchise tagged this afternoon. I keep forgetting that. So excuse me for misinformation earlier. But Juju Smith Schuster is also available. Will Fuller is available. Sammy
Shaq,
Watkins is
I was
available.
gonna say Shaq Barrett is kind of a big one,
Yeah.
considering how much of an impact he had on Tampa Bay's defense in this postseason. But go ahead.
Well, I was speaking strictly to the wide receivers
Oh, my bad.
because of the Colts. Colts with their new quarterback and seeing how T.Y. Hilton is a free agent this year, so they will probably be looking to retool, and I doubt that they'd be looking to just
Did you?
retool through free. I mean, through the draft.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you already get down to Corey Davis?
Oh yeah, Corey Davis as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So and look, see in the corners that are available, AJ Bouye,
there's all kind of corners available.
like the corner, like you could build a whole defense through this draft, man. Like that's like this is going to be an insane free agency period. Um, I wonder how many. I wonder how this is going to work out for players, though. As far as what type of contracts will they be signing this year? I I believe we're going to see a lot of 1 year contracts this year. Um,
Mhm.
because nobody's going because the type of contracts that they'll be signing will be for this level of cap space, and I think a lot of guys will be like, I want to see what next year looks like, giving that cap spaces will be going up.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, but but I definitely this makes it for an exciting off season, especially considering all the signings that they could do from free agency. And then you got to remember, this is still one of the drafts that has a lot of talent, a lot of skill position talent coming out.
mhm.
So it's some guys. I think some teams are going to realize, hey man, we instead of moving up, I'm just going to shoot for a Will Fuller or a guy like Corey Davis. You know what I'm saying? Because Mark, I'll be honest with you, I'd rather take a proven like somebody like a Corey Davis. Or I mean, I don't like. I mean, I like Will Fuller, but he's injured all the time. But yes, I would rather do that and just go get him in free agency rather than trade and lose pieces on a way to try to move up in the draft and take a risk on a rookie. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel you.
so I expect to see a lot of signings happening uh, prior to the draft.
Yeah. Listen, guys, we're not going to like this list is huge, and it's a
It's
lot of.
it's a lot of oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Look, guys,
I was
there's
gonna
a
say there's a lot of notable names on
yes, there's a lot of
here.
big names. Like that's huge. There's a lot of big names in this free agency. Um and so we can't just go down the list and give it to you guys,
Well,
but I will suggest that you guys go look it up.
like
If you type in top 100 free agents 2020 one, then you will then one of the sites that will pop up will be Pro Football Talk NBCSports.com. That is the website that I am currently on, and you can see all the notable free agents, and it also shows you everyone that the franchise tag was used on as well.
yeah,
So you will so another notable name that's out there is Steelers edge rusher Bud Dupree. That is massive. Bud Dupree is a monster. He is coming off of an injury, but still, he like he was playing like a man possessed prior to the injury. And when he got injured,
yeah,
that's when the Steelers defense started to fall off a little bit.
yeah.
So
And just to let you know how notable the names are, I'm this. If you look at 20, this they had a top 100 list, and at 22 they have Trey Hendrickson from the Saints. If you know anything about him, he's one of the biggest impact players on that defense at linebacker. You
right.
have Leonard Floyd, a Rams edge rusher, if you're familiar with Leonard Floyd at 23, and then Bud Dupree's at 24. If you got Bud Dupree at 24, you can imagine what this list looks like. And I'm telling you, there's just notable names all the way down to 50. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely check it out.
So I definitely suggest you guys go out there and check it out. And with that being said, I don't have nothing else for this evening. Do you, Shawn?
I think I'm good with that. I'm good with what we got here, man.
And Tyrone, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
You don't wanna exit out with saying Izzy sucks or nothing? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll make that a thing. Izzy sucks. DC sucks. Yeah. There you go.
All right, cool. Excellent. All right. So I think we rounded things out where it's supposed to be. March 25th, I believe, is Stipe versus Francis.
Yeah, and that'll determine who Jon Jones fight. And
Exactly. So for
we got
you
April
UFC
24th, the Rose and Wei Lee.
Yeah.
So for you UFC fans out there, March 25th is the next notable big fight where we will be seeing who John will be facing for the heavyweight championship fight belt. So and then at that point we will probably get a date on when that fight will actually be. So hopefully we get a date that night. That would be great.
And just to throw it out there, March 25th is also my birthday, so that's going to be a nice little birthday celebration. I'll probably be enjoying some drinks while I'm watching the fight, But yeah, definitely excited for the Stipe fight. Like you said, just to see what the results are going to be.
Now that'd be dope, man. That would be excellent. Well, with that being said, guys, we're going to sign off. The usual spiel: link, like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube and if you're on your podcast, hit the follow button. Like us on all your socials. It's very easy to find us. Just type in the eye test network with no spaces. It's not hard. The eye test network at Gmail if you want to get in contact with us and if you would like any of our dope ass hoodies or t-shirts. Like you could just find us through these very easy methods. All you have to do is know how to spell. Like so.
Hey, I'm getting some Everest vibes right there. You ain't doing nothing. Get up off the couch. Why don't you do something?
Dog, yeah. You killing me, dog. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm just saying, dog. It's the usual thing, Like you just support your boys. You know what I mean? If you like hearing us, you want us to continue support us. Chris Denham.
Dog, that's very direct.
Support it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, with that being said, as usual, if you cool with us, we cool with y'all. So be cool with us so we could be cool with y'all. Like our shit, man. Peace.